Welcome to the Dale Sabor a Tu Salud podcast by Tadine. I am your host, Chef Carla Contreras. Join me as we steep in the world of Tadine with interviews from fellow creatives, foodies, and entrepreneurs from our comunidad. Argelia, welcome to the podcast. I am so grateful to have you here. Can you introduce yourself and how you serve your community?
My name is Argelia Atilano, and I am so grateful to be with you, Carla, and in this amazing podcast that serves our community. How do I serve my community? With my voice that God gave me. Well, I know He gave us all a voice, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I really do thank God for helping me use my voice as an instrument to connect with my community, inform my community. More than educate, it's empower, it's entertain, especially during trying times. Which, trust me, a lot of people say, "Oh, with your voice, you laugh and you're always giggling," but it's more than that. It's about uplifting my community, which is going through a hard time. When they wake up in the morning, sometimes it's not a good morning, and when they turn on the radio or they turn on our show or they turn on our platforms, it's about hearing my voice to hopefully give them a piece of joy.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. We're going to move into tea, and I have mine right here.
Look at you.
My throat wellness. I'm curious about what's in your taza. What was your last studying tea?
There's a very special tea right now, special mug. It was my Mother's Day gift last year for my daughters. They know I love lavender. Look at how well they know me. Oh, and they're like, "Mommy, you love your tea so much. You have a new mug just for your tea." So this is my special Tadine mug. And I like to combine. So yes, my last one was probably a week ago when, it's kind of crazy weather in LA right now. So when it gets gloomy, it's like I knock out my Tadine teas, and I always run for my chamomile. But this morning, like I said, I like to combine. So I combined my chamomile with honey and my lemongrass tea. You have to try the combo. It's all about experimenting in life, right? So here I go.
Delicious. I've never had that combination. I have to try it.
Perfection, my dear. Seriously, try the combo. I love to combo.
I love that.
They go well.
It really makes a lot of sense because I feel like those Tadine teas, they're all within like the same family.
Yes.
They pair so well. So you mixing them together. Oh, I have a question for you. Do you refresh this tea? Some people do this where they pour hot water on top once you finish.
I do. I recycle. I do. I'll finish it and I'm like, okay, I still need some more because I'm out, and I'll be like, oh, there's more hot water left. So you know what? The tea bags are still in there. And guess what? They do the deed. Yeah. They do the deed. It's still great. And I still enjoy it. And so there it is. Or even if it gets cold, you know what? Let's put some ice cubes now. Let's make it now a refresher, right? Yeah. Which is what I love to do in the summer. I can't wait for that. Hibiscus. Have you tried the hibiscus or the mango or the pineapple? Chilled.
All favorites.
We're Tadine girls. We know what's up. Cheers.
Exactly. Cheers to you. Salud.
Salud. Riquísimo.
I'm going to ask you about wellness because Tadine is rooted in wellness. And I am curious, in your very full life, what does wellness look like? And do you have any practices that you can share with us?
Wellness for me now is more important than ever before. I am 49 years old. I'm not ashamed about my age. I'm actually proud of being 49 and feeling and looking this amazing, I think, because for the first time in many, many decades, I'm finally putting myself first. And what does that look like? I take care of my sleep like you have no idea. I don't know how I did it for so many years where I only ran with 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I do not know how I survived that, but only God knows because He gave me the strength. But now it's like, no, RG, you need to give yourself those 7 to 8 hours every single day. So sleeping is key, especially our community needs to know that sleeping is everything. I grew up thinking, I always grew up with the saying, I'm sure you heard it, Carla. Ay, voy a dormir cuando me muera.
Sí.
Hay que trabajar, trabajar, trabajar porque voy a dormir cuando me muera. Well, guess what? If you don't get your sleep, your good sleep, vamos a morir más jóvenes. We're going to die younger.
Yeah.
And we want to live longer. We don't want to die younger. We want to live longer. So in order to live longer and healthier, we have to take care of our sleep, because without sleep, we don't have energy. So with good sleep, I have energy to do all the other things I want to do in my daytime, which is that, the household, the girls, my husband are working together, our careers. And so, yes, sleep is like, for me, the foundation. And then once I get up and go, I make sure in my calendar, I have my facials, I have my massage. And I'm not saying like that's more of I used to think it was a luxury before. Now it's more of a necessity, It's my me time where I need to disconnect from it all. I mean, I love my husband, I love my girls, I love my career, but I need to take a step back and focus on me. And what does that look like? I am going to go and get my facial once a month. I'm going to go and get my massage and the stress out from here once a month if I can, maybe twice if I can. That's like more like, whoa, but if I can do it once a month, that's genius. Obviously, the most important thing for me to feel that I'm alive and my wellness is top notch, 100% in action, praying, connecting with God every day. If I don't do that in the beginning, then my day will be off. And I feel that when I have that connection with God in silence, whether it's in my room or in my backyard or even in my car sometimes, Carla, that is what centers me. It grounds me. And I know that no matter how crazy my day is going to be, I'm going to be okay.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You have had such an extensive career, and I want to ask this question about the evolution of your career over the years, and especially when you knew it was time to take a pause during the pandemic.
Yes. So I've been working nonstop since 1997, when I graduated from college, undergrad, and I was blessed enough to take advantage of an internship that turned into a full-time job right off the bat. So my entrance to the industry was as a TV reporter for a local news station, Telemundo, KBEA, Canal 52 here in LA. And that was literally when the start of my career. I always knew I wanted to do TV to connect with my community. That was really it. It wasn't the whole like, oh, because I want to be on TV and the fame and the money. I mean, if I told you what I got paid back then, I practically did it for free. But you know what? You're young and you're hungry and you know what you want in life. And that was it. That was my door, a TV reporter to connect with my community. And I always knew I wanted to work for the Hispanic market. So I had, do I go English market? Do I go Spanish? It was Spanish. Why? So my mom could understand me. So my mother could see me and hear me. Hence my people, my community, right? But because of my mom, I was like, it's going to be the Hispanic market. I need my mom to see me because she was the one that pushed me to go to, school. And she's the reason why I even went this far. Of course, I'm going to do this for my mom. But honestly, TV is my first passion. Fast forward, it transitioned into radio because of 9/11. When 9/11 happened, a lot of things changed in the TV industry for me. And so I found a new way of communicating through radio, which was Kayla 107.5 FM, the most important Spanish station in the country. And that was my entry to radio, a station that I grew up listening to. And I fell in love there and I stayed there. I stayed there and I had to give up something. So I gave up TV for the love of radio and for the love of my husband, who is my co-host, created a family. And radio has given me everything, and now during the pandemic, radio went through a shift. As we all know, we all went through shifts, but I discovered that because of the pandemic, not thanks to the pandemic, because of the pandemic, I discovered that I could go live from everywhere, like my house. And so here I am, look, talking to you in the comfort of my own home with technology. And because of that decision, that opened my eyes to, I don't want to lose this moment with my children. Now we're all together for the very first time in the morning. I'm making them breakfast Monday through Friday. I'm seeing them study. I'm seeing them do their things. I don't want to let this go. I already missed out a lot in their morning routine, doing radio at 5 o'clock in the morning. But I said, I have to do something where I can have this as well. And so here we are now, venturing into a new way of communicating, which is through digital streaming, but being still a mom and a wife because of technology. So yes, Carla, I'm going to tell you right now, you're the first interview actually, or chat that I have where I get to say that mid-May, I will be launching our new platform. El show de Omar y Argelia will be launching via this technology streaming and taking our show to the palm of our hand to everywhere in the world. Not LA anymore. It's the whole country. It's Mexico. It's Latin America. It's the world. And so that's where we're headed. Omar y Argelia 3.0, new era. And you're the first one to hear it.
I can't believe it. I'm blushing. I'm honored and privileged to know this. It's incredible to see you light up and the transformation that
Yes.
has happened through the years and even our previous chat. I'm like, this is incredible. You have published 2 books.
Yes.
And I want to specifically give the statistics to people that are listening to this podcast. The Latinos make up less than 8% of published authors in the United States. This is an incredibly low statistic. And I would love to know more about, first, what was it like to publish with a publishing house? And what is the difference of self-publishing your children's book, Grandes Dreamers?
That's a great question. So my first book, Amor al Aire, which my husband and I co-wrote, it was my idea. He didn't want to do it. He's like, why are we doing a book when we already spill our life on radio every morning, right? From 5 to 10. I'm like, you know why? Because we need to document our story, how we came and crossed each other's path, how radio brought us together, how a mic brought us together, just because it's a beautiful love story that, I love. And because I want our daughters to know like details. They grew up listening to mommy and daddy and that's all they know, but they think it's like a given. But no, it wasn't easy. It was very challenging. There's a lot of ups and downs in our career. I need to document the story. So I did it for our girls, obviously. That's the main priority. And the second reason why we did it is just to leave a legacy of radio industry in LA. Like, how did this couple fall in love in radio and how were they able to be number one for more than 20 years, right? So because of the story that we had, it was very appealing to HarperCollins. HarperCollins Espanol grabbed the story. They published the book. And for me, it was like, what? Like, we've never written a book before and we're getting picked up. Our story got picked up by HarperCollins Espanol. So in that sense, it was very helpful. They took care of, obviously, the publishing, the distribution, the whole media, the media PR campaign. They flew us all over the country for the interviews, and that was magnificent. That's what everybody wants, right? We got that on our first try. Okay. So here is our baby, which is still out there. If people want to buy it, amoralaire.com. Amoralaire.com, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, you'll find it everywhere. So fast forward, Grandes Dreamers is my book that I wrote because of a need of and lack of books like these for our children, especially, between the ages of 10 and 15, high elementary, middle school. And so this book was not easy to publish because the publishing companies were not interested. They said, no, there are already few out there. That was literally their words. We're not going to publish your book because there are already a few out there. But look at what they said, a few out there. And for them, a few out there was more than enough. And for us, look at the statistic you just gave. For us, it's not enough. It's just 1, 2, 3 books in the shelves of libraries is not going to cut it. Our kids deserve more books, right? So it didn't get picked up by a publishing company. And I said, well, here we go. Let's self-publish. So my partner on this, which is my illustrator, Ana Alvarado, a good friend of mine, she did look at the beautiful artwork. And when you go inside, it's even more beautiful. It's gorgeous. So she and I just started researching and found this company to publish it. But honestly, we did everything. Carla, I wrote the book. I edited my book. Obviously, I went to my Loyola Marymount University professor from linguistics to go through the book for grammar and just make. She was phenomenal, Doctora Rebecca Acevedo. If you're watching this, gracias. I will never ever get tired of thanking her for literally revising the book. And of course, as much Spanish that I know, it's not to that level. So she did that. But all we did was we went online, found Book Baby, and they literally just. But we did everything. And then the promotion was tough. That's still a challenge to promote the book. But luckily, I went to a few TV outlets and got print interviews. And just by word of mouth, we have this baby out there in so many schools and so many libraries. And to see that is everything to me. I fulfilled the mission was to deliver a book for my daughters because this was a promise to them because, they didn't have enough books to learn about our women, Latina women that have been trailblazers in this country. So here it is, my contribution. But I can tell you it was extremely challenging. And I think that's only the reason why I haven't delivered the second book because I want to continue doing this. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But you know what? Maybe when the time allows it, I will go back at it. But still, with that being said, I don't want to discourage authors out there that have a script, that have the drive, just to go out there and do it. There are ways to do it. It's just a lot of work, but it's so worth it.
And I want to underline and highlight this because you use your voice literally to uplift others and also through the words of the books to uplift others. What would you say to others who are considering sharing their stories? And I want to also give possibility that there is many different ways that we can share our stories.
Nowadays, it's so easy to share a story. I mean, we all have a story. Your story is phenomenal. My neighbor's story is phenomenal. We all have a story to share. I think just there are some of us that don't realize how valuable our stories are and how impactful they can be. And before, I guess people thought like me, like, oh, you have to have a extraordinary story to make it to a TV, piece or an article. Nowadays, because of social media and these platforms like Instagram and TikTok and the Facebooks of the world and all these other tools that we have, we can share our story in so many ways. And look how viral and popular they become. Now TV outlets are looking at these stories on social media. And this is where they discover the stories. And then they reach out to that person through TikTok. We want to feature you on the Today Show, for example, And that's what's happening now. So if someone has a story to share that it's valuable and can help one person, it just takes one person to make a difference. You don't have to change the story of millions in one shot. If it's one person you can touch, then it's worth challenging and sharing your story via whatever platform you have available in front of you. I think that's what motivated me every morning, Carla, for radio. I mean, I know there are many options out there, but if I could touch one person, if I could make one woman or one child or one teenager or one man smile or feel hope or feel motivated again, that's all I needed. I did my job for that one day. And everybody has a potential of doing that.
Incredible. You mentioned that you've worked with your husband for over 20 years.
Yes.
I'm curious about some of the lessons that you've learned about yourself during that time.
During this time, right? Oh my gosh, so many lessons. Well, first of all, I've grown a lot in radio. I've grown a lot because of him. He is literally my mentor and my number one fan. And he's literally the one that opened up the mic for me. Because when I was introduced to radio previously with my first co-host, it was the other way around. It was like, you're a female, you're young, you know nothing. I'm bringing your mic down. So I was only used for entertainment bits and traffic. But with Omar coming on board, it was the other way around. He discovered that I had a story to share that was as impactful for other women of, coming from single moms that were raised with a single mom, women that were first generation, first one to go to college. He saw how relatable my story was. And he was like, what? We need to raise your volume and make an impact, right? With the younger generation. And also for moms to know that, hey, if Argelia could do it because of her mom that was single and was able to push these girls on her own, then other moms can do it too. So because of Omar, I was able to learn that my voice had value. That was the one thing I learned because of my husband, honestly. Because of him, well, back then he wasn't my husband, he was just my co-host. But because of him, he was the first person that taught me, that made me realize that my voice truly mattered and that it could touch other people's lives. And then within time, I learned that obviously I'm not perfect and I make mistakes every day on the air and off the air. And I'm like, I'm not perfect, but you know what? Tomorrow is a new day, a new opportunity to make things better than the previous day. So I learned not to take things so personal. I cannot be so hard on myself. Just because the segment didn't come out right, I cannot have it, you know, spinning around my head all day and making me feel miserable. I need to let it go. I need to learn how to let that go because the next day is a new chapter. It's a new blank page to fill, right? So I've learned how to let go of things more easily and to separate personal from professional, which is a tough one, I think, with my husband. How do I separate the personal issues? Because, we fight, we bicker, we disagree, as every normal marriage does. But how do I let that go when I walk into the studio? That's another thing. I think that was probably the most challenging thing, Carla. As a woman, well, me being very sensitive and emotional, it was very hard to leave that in the hallway when I walked into the studio. And it's still, how do I let go of this grudge that I had with my husband from the previous night because of something dumb, by the way? But I've learned how to let go of things easily with him when it comes to work, and then I'll pick it up later. I will. I'll pick it up at home. I say, oh, not forgetting what you said yesterday, right? But I think that's been the most valuable lesson, learning how to let things go. And just every day knowing that I still have a lot to give. Sometimes we women tend to be hard on ourselves, like, oh, I reached this age and I am no longer appealing, to especially the media industry where I'm at. But no, you bring your experience with you, all this wisdom from the falls and the roller coaster and the ups and downs. You bring it with you because they're life lessons. So I've learned to embrace my age, to embrace my era, my new chapter. With I am not 19 and I'm not pretending to be 25. I am 49 and I'm bringing that with me, to guide and hopefully inspire other women that are feeling like their time has passed. No, it hasn't. It never passes. We continue, we keep moving.
Right. We keep moving. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious that you have projects on the burner right now. Is there anything else that's coming up in 2024 and beyond for you?
Yes, well, I already gave you the premiere earlier
Big
about
one.
Omar and Argelia coming back, 3.0, new era, digital streaming. Argelia Atilano on her own. I'm so excited to also share with you, Carla, that I'm about to also launch my second podcast. My first podcast, Necesitaba Escucharlo con Argelia Atilano, was launched a year ago, which is a completely Spanish podcast, more like my thoughts, my feelings, thinking out loud, which second season is on its way. But this new podcast has me very excited because I don't come alone. I love to be surrounded by strong women that have different experiences and different backgrounds and different scenarios as well in their personal and professional lives. And so my new podcast with them will also be launched in May. And it's going to be a podcast of 4 women. We're all Latinas, bilingual, bicultural. We're moms, we're married, we're divorced, we're single, we're entrepreneurs. We have had failures, but we've had successes. And so we're going to talk about everything and anything. And this involves getting kinky and wild at times because we are women, and we have that side too. But it also involves us being vulnerable and just laying it all out when it comes to parenting. When, especially nowadays, how challenging it is with what's going on in the world and with this tool that tends to be a distraction between our kids and parents. And so we're going to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly about just raising a child in this era and holding a household and wanting it all, being a professional and being a personal. My mom always says, mija, no lo puedes tener todo en la vida. You can't have it all. And I'm like, yes, we can. We can try to have it all. You might be right about not being able to have it all, but we can definitely try to have it all. And so I'm really excited about that new project. More podcasts, to choose from that are inspiring, empowering, uplifting, motivational, and just a space to vent in a good way. not complaining, just to vent for our own sake and our own health and our own mindset. It's all about self-care and self-love. It really, that's what it comes down to. So be on the lookout.
I can't wait to listen. Argelia, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. How can we find you? How can we support you further?
Thank you for that, for having me on your platform too, Carla. Well, it's very easy to find me, Argelia Atilano on Instagram, Argelia Atilano on Facebook, Argelia Atilano with all the Omar and Argelia platforms as well. And thank you for following, because it is there where I will be releasing more information as far as my personal podcast, Necesitaba Escucharlo con Argelia Atilano, the new one coming up, which I cannot say the name yet just because I don't want to jinx anything, but you will soon find out what the title of that new podcast is and what the other members of the podcast, all on Argelia Atilano Instagram. Pretty much there, yeah. And I like to be active with my community. I like to be engaged. So I try to answer DMs as much as possible and comments when I can. But that's where you will find me, Carla, Argelia Atilano World.
Gracias. Thank you so much for steeping in the world of Tadine. I am your host, Chef Carla Contreras. You can find Tadine at Tadine Teas on Instagram, and more information in the show notes. If you're on iTunes or Spotify, please leave us a review. Adios.